For millions of Pearl Jam fans, it was just another B-side, a hidden gem with a haunting melody and lyrics that were famously impossible to decipher. It was a song that you crank up in your car, feeling every ounce of that soulful, blues-drenched guitar without ever knowing what a single word meant. But the story that fuels the song wasn't written for the stage, and it wasn't born in the recording studio. It's a story about a single piece of mail, a yellow envelope that could deliver the worst news imaginable, and the raw grief that would become one of rock's most powerful and private anthems. This is a story of Yellow Ledbetter, the accidental classic that carries a weight most listeners have never understood. To really get Yellow Ledbetter, you have to go back to the massive shift that was 1991. Pearl Jam, a band fresh out of the Seattle scene, had just unleashed their debut album 10 in August of that year. It was a record that would define a generation, hitting with this tidal wave of raw emotion and stadium-sized hooks that made them one of the biggest bands on the planet almost overnight. Songs like Alive, Even Flow, and Jeremy were everywhere. They were anthems of survival, angst, as well as tragedy. But during those same recording sessions for 10, another song came to life. It was one of the very first things the band even wrote together, sparked by a jam between guitarist Mike McCready and bassist Jeff Ament. Eddie Vedder, the band's magnetic and intense frontman, started improvising vocals over the top, letting that feeling guide him more than any pre-written story. The result was a track that just kind of felt different. It was looser, more bluesy, and soaked in this kind of weary sadness. McCready himself was pretty bummed when it didn't make the final cut for the album. Yellow Ledbetter was sent to live out its days as a B-side, tucked away on the flip side of the Jeremy single in 1992. In the 90s rock world, this was basically a one-way ticket to obscurity, meant to be found only by the most dedicated fans who actually bought the physical singles. But then something strange happened. Radio stations started playing it. DJs, hooked by its Hendrix-style guitar and Eddie Vedder's passionate yet slurred lyrics, put it on the air. Once I saw him on a B-side with us. Even though it had no official promotion and wasn't on the multi-platinum album that everybody owned, the song became a hit. It climbed the charts, peaking at number 21 on the mainstream rock tracks chart in 1994, which is an incredibly rare thing for a B-side. It soon became an anthem that just refused to be ignored. A huge part of what makes Yellow Ledbetter so fascinating is the mystery of its lyrics. From the moment it first hit the airwaves, fans debated, dissected, and even desperately tried to figure out what Vedder is actually singing. The words are famously slurred and impressionistic, used more as another layer of sound than a clear story, and that wasn't an accident. Vedder has always used his voice like another instrument, focusing on the emotional punch over making sure every word is understood. On a visit, on a way, yeah. And a cold line, I say, no. In countless live shows over the decades, the words to Yellow Ledbetter shift and change, and they're a living thing adapted to fit the mood of the night or just the feeling in the room. During one solo show, when a fan asked him to finally reveal the song's true lyrics, Vedder just joked, "Wait, you mean there's lyrics?" That playful answer gets to the heart of the song's appeal. The ambiguity is the point. Without concrete words to hold on to, listeners have to find their own meaning in the music itself. You connect with the soaring, soulful pain in Mike. The song became a vessel for whatever you're feeling in that moment: grief, anger, confusion, or even a strange kind of hope. The one line that almost everyone can pick out, the one that's often shouted back by tens of thousands of fans at their concert, is, "I don't know whether I'm a boxer or the bag." It's the perfect summary of the song's feeling, of being caught in a struggle where you can't tell if you're the one throwing the punches or the one taking them. It's a line that hits home for almost everyone, even if the words around it stay a beautiful, haunting blur. While the lyrics are always changing, Vedder has, on a few rare occasions, shared the powerful story that gave the song its emotional core. The narrative he's told confirms what many fans have long felt. The Yellow Ledbetter is tied to the sorrow of war. He said it was written around the time of the first Gulf War in the early 90s. He painted a picture of a young man whose brother had just gone off to fight. One day, a yellow envelope arrives in the mail, what Vedder called a yellow letter, a dreaded way the military would inform families that their loved ones had been killed in action. action. In this story, this young man who's overwhelmed by the grief that's so big it feels like his world is collapsing. He just leaves the house and starts walking. His mind is racing, his heart is broken. He's trying to process the news. As he wanders, he sees a couple sitting on their front porch with an American flag beside them. In a moment of shared patriotic grief, he raises his hand to wave, a gesture to say, "I see that flag. My brother, he fought for that." But the couple on the porch doesn't really see a grieving brother. Vedder said they just see, as he put it, a scumbag, a weird-looking kid they don't understand. They just stare at him, but they don't wave back. The single crushing moment of misunderstanding is where the song's themes lock into place. Profound, isolating grief meeting the cold judgment of the world. The story gives a key to unlocking the song's emotional weight. It explains the sorrow in the melody and the frustration simmering just below the surface. The title itself, Yellow Ledbetter, is another layer of the song's mystique, and there's a few different stories about it. The most direct explanation Vedder has given is that it was an inside joke named after a friend of his from Chicago named Tim Ledbetter. But fans have also made other connections. One popular theory is that it's a nod to the legendary blues musician Leadbelly, since Mike McCready's guitar on the track is a direct tribute to Jimi Hendrix, who was heavily influenced by the blues. That connection kind of feels right. Another theory suggests that the title is a play on the tongue twister Yellow Better, Red Better, which, if you say it fast, can sound like Yellow Ledbetter, a perfect nod to the song's jumbled lyrics. Whatever its origins, the title works perfectly with the song's themes. The words yellow immediately brings to mind the tragic letter from the story. At its core, Yellow Ledbetter is about alienation. It's about the gap between personal suffering and really how the world sees you. The character in the story isn't just grieving about his brother, he's dealing with being an outcast in his own country, judged for how he looks at the exact moment when he feels connected to a national symbol. While some have interpreted the song as anti-patriotic, a better description is that it's profoundly anti-war. It's not a song that attacks a country, but one that mourns the human cost of conflict and the way it can break connections between people. It captures the confusion of a generation that came of age during the First Gulf War, a conflict that felt both far away and incredibly personal for anyone who had a loved one fighting there. For a song that was never on an album, the legacy of Yellow Ledbetter is massive. It's become one of Pearl Jam's most beloved and lasting tracks, a real testament to its raw emotional power. For decades, it's been a staple of their live shows, often used as the final encore of the night. It's a moment of connection between the band and their audience, and as soon as McCready's iconic guitar intro starts, tens of thousands of people who might not know the words all sing along to the melody, united in a shared feeling. Yellow Ledbetter is a complete paradox. It's a song with no official lyrics that everyone sings along to. It's a B-side that became more famous than most lead singles, and it's a profoundly sad story about war and alienation that somehow brings thousands of people together. It was never supposed to be a hit, and its story was never meant to be fully understood. But that's exactly where the magic lies. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on Rock Roll True Stories.